When we shoot for something, we shoot for resilience. That's not it. If you aim for resilience, you're not going to do very well. So, I decided to classify, and this book is about classification of things into the three categories: fragile, robust, anti-fragile. I was an option trader before I met Danny. We met in 2003, and of course, it changed a lot of things for me. I decided then to become a scholar, all right? Right after meeting him, immediately. I said, okay, I'm going to be a full-time scholar. It took me a couple of years to become a scholar. And of course, I went and I had a book that I had to revise. Anyway, before that, I was an option trader. And option traders aren't very sophisticated people. They know two things: volatility and alcohol. All right? So, and they classify things into things that like volatility and things that hate volatility. There are packages that like volatility, packages that hate variability, volatility. They call it long gamma or short gamma. That was my specialty. When I entered the scholarly world, I realized that there was no name for things that benefit from volatility. Robust isn't it. You see, things that are robust, things that are adaptable, things that are agile, resilient, destructively resilient, creatively resilient, all these things, they're not the opposite of fragile. And they're not the equivalent of things that gain from volatility. So I figured out that what is short volatility is fragile. This doesn't like volatility because if there's an earthquake in New York, you never know with Paul, maybe earthquakes here, but if there's an earthquake, this is not going to gain from the earthquake. You see? So it does not like disorder, it does not like volatility, it doesn't like these things. So I just, figured out that the fragile is a category of object, and the opposite of fragile was not robust. The opposite of fragile had to be a different category. If I'm sending a package to Siberia, fragile, you translate into Siberian or whatever Russian they use, handle with care. The opposite wouldn't be, a robust package. You write nothing on it. The opposite would be something on which you would write, please mishandle. So there's no name for that category. So I called it anti-fragile. What benefits from volatility has this, object. And I realized that somehow people intuitively wouldn't get it. When we shoot for something, we shoot for resilience. That's not it. If you aim for resilience, you're not going to do very well. So, I decided to classify, and this book is about classification of things into the three categories: fragile, robust, anti-fragile. So, Danny, there you go.
Well, you're almost forcing me to define what anti-fragile is because you haven't done it. But
gains from variability, disorder, stress, what else? Stressors, harm, things that benefit from.
In an early chapter of the book, you have a very long table with 3 columns.
Yes.
Fragile, robust, and anti-fragile. And you can pick any of the rows in that table and elaborate on it. For example, tourists and flaneur, one of your favorite words. Why are tourists? And there is something quite deep in that discussion.
I was an option trader. Option, you like optionality. You see, you like uncertainty. You benefit from uncertainty. You like some disorder. When you're a tourist, you're on the track. If the bus is late, you're in trouble. If you're an adventurer, you benefit, you're opportunistically taking advantage of uncertainty. So therefore, you're in that category of anti-fragile. And if you're robust, you don't care. So the idea of entrepreneurs are in the category of anti-fragile. And the people who have, a very rationalistic thing put on track, you're following, a certain code, you are fragile. Because if something breaks, you're in trouble. You can't, nothing good, can happen. Things can go wrong, but they can get better. So the fragile has more downside than upside. Uncertainty harms them. Take a plane ride. If you inject uncertainty into your plane ride, I just came from Europe, it was 8 hours, ended up to be 16. So I was 8 hours late. Did anyone of you ever land in JFK coming from Europe 8 hours early? No, so category of object, you inject uncertainty, the travel time extends. The opposite would be a system in which you inject uncertainty, you have benefits. And that's the anti-fragile, entrepreneurship. If you're an adventurer, you like uncertainty. And people, couldn't get it. I have a way to explain it. Someone tells me, what's the difference with resilient? I say, there's a big difference. If I buy insurance on my house in 10 times the amount needed, I want an accident to happen. You see, it's not as I want every day. Morning I'd wake up. I'd say, there's no cow, no earthquake, nothing. If at 10 times, I get paid 10 times the damages. So that's like inverse insurance. So insurance companies, of course, are short volatility, are harmed by disorder, they are fragile, and someone who has 10 times insurance would, benefit from uncertainty. The mistake we made, it's ever since the Enlightenment, but it's very exacerbated now because we're more capable of controlling our environment. We want to eliminate volatility from life. We make the categorical mistake, I call it mistaking the cat for a washing machine. I don't know if you own a cat or washing machine, they're very different. The washing machine will never self-heal. An organism needs some amount of variability and disorder, otherwise it dies. An organism communicates with the environment via stressors. You see, you have stressors, you put, you lift weight, your bones are going to get thicker. If you don't do that, if you go on a space shuttle, you're going to lose bone density. So you need stressors. So people made a mistake of thinking that the economy is more like some machine that needs constant maintenance, will never get better. And like this, you put it on a table, okay, it will be harmed by any disorder. And a human body that needs some amount of variability. That huge mistake led us to micromanage the economy into chaos. Take forest fires. If you extinguish every forest fire, single forest fire, a lot of flammable material would accumulate, and the big one would be a lot worse. So what Mr. Greenspan did, actually he's writing a book, he probably may come here for an interview, but Greenspan did is he micromanaged the economy. Had you given him the seasons, or the nature, he was a fixed nature at 68.7 degrees year-round, no more seasons. So of course, things got weaker, and you had the pseudo-stability. Danny himself, you've mentioned in your writings that human beings are chicken, okay? They usually claim to have a lot of courage, so they take risks they don't know. They like to take risks they don't understand, because when you show them variability and risk, they get scared. So we try to manage things, over-manage things, our health, the economy, a lot of things, into complete chaos and fragilize it. That's a mistake. The first mistake is mistaking something organic for an engineered product. So that's the first mistake. And of course that has there's a psychology behind it, no?
We can argue on anti-fragile versus robust because the implications of your argument are, I think, are costly. I mean, there is a cost.
They're necessary. They're beyond necessary. If I put a child completely deprived of stressors, in a sterilized room for 5 years, and then bring him here to visit the New York subway, next door, how many minutes will he last? Okay. So visibly, if you're not exposed to stressors, you're going to be weakened. Okay. We have a society that is obsessed by eliminating small stressors, small risk, at the expense of large risks. And this manifests itself in a lot of things. The fact that we didn't have a name for anti-fragile means half of life doesn't have a name. It didn't matter in the old days because we had stressors all the time. Now we control our environment, and we control the wrong thing about the environment. We try to make the ride comfortable, but don't eliminate the large risk. In fact, it's the opposite. In any field, We've been harmed by, I call it denial of anti-fragility. Denial of anti-fragility, Greenspan wanted to smooth out the economy, create no more boom and bust. No, it's natural to have boom and busts, in some amount. He created a big bust, okay? And we're discovering there's something called Jensen's inequality. Jensen's inequality means some properties of nonlinear response that makes you benefit from variability. Your food intake. If you eat food, if your calories, you always have the same amount of calories all the time, you're going to be injured. If you stay on a chair, no stressor, right? Your back is going to become weaker, stuff like that. But you can generalize. So what I've done here is try to identify the blind spot we have today that matter today did not matter in the past, because in the past we had the environment was providing us with stressors. Take, for example, temperature. It's not healthy to stay at 68.7 degrees 24 hours. It's not healthy. You need variability. We're made for variability. We're made for an environment, where you have big thermal fluctuation. So you injure yourself, and effectively now have a catalog of things, harm you're getting from not getting variability. Likewise in the economy, if you don't have, think of the restaurant business. If you don't have bankruptcies in the restaurant business, what would happen? Tonight we're going out to dinner, all right? The quality of the meal is a direct result of the fragility of individual restaurants. The system, to be robust and anti-fragile, needs to recycle and improve the fragility of the components, okay? Otherwise, look at Russia. The restaurant didn't go bust. I don't know if you ate food in the 70s in Russia, but some people are still trying to recover from the experience. Right? But I have one more thing to say. A system that does not convert stressors, problems, variability into fuel is doomed. Let me give you a system that's perfectly adapted to converting stressors into improvement. The air transport. In the last 7 years, we had one plane crash, commercial plane crash. I'm not talking about individuals flying on weekends, half drunk. Plane crash for, major airlines. Why? Every plane crash that has happened has made the next plane ride safer, lowered the probability of next plane crash. Every plane crash. That's a system that is overall anti-fragile, where you benefit, you never let a mistake go to waste. Now, compare that to the banking system. A bank crash would make the probability of a next bank crash much more likely, all right? Much higher. That's not a very good system.
Just like in the economic system, booms and bursts are natural to humans, and thus the way we should work. Deep work, deep rest, get the feedback loop, repeat. Just like Sahil Bloom tweeted, work like a lion. Most people are not wired to work 9 to 5. Modern work culture is remnant of the industrial age, which is long periods of steady, monotonous work. If your goal is to do inspired, creative work, you have to work like a lion. Sprint when inspired, rest, repeat. I leave you with some tables from the book Anti-Fragile by Nassim Taleb, which was discussed during this video. For each row, we can see a different kind of event, activity, or system. And then in the columns, we can see how it fits into the fragile category, robust category, and anti-fragile category. Would you like to get access to the finest nuggets from the best non-fiction books out there? If you do, you should check out Shortform. For disclosure, Shortform is not sponsoring this video, but there is an affiliate link in the video description. Why am I promoting Shortform? Well, my purpose through this channel is to collect valuable insights from videos of people that I deeply admire. Now imagine if you can easily get the most valuable insights from the best non-fiction books. This is what you can find on Shortform. A curated selection of the best books, and for each book you can find a carefully crafted summary in which all the book's relevant ideas are analyzed. This is why I absolutely love to read on Shortform and would recommend it to anyone. As Charlie Munger argues, to have a good and successful life, you have to create a mental model from all the big ideas, from all the big disciplines. And short form can be extremely helpful for this matter, as it literally extracts all the big ideas from the best non-fiction books, helping you to create this mental model in a faster and more efficient way. And with these valuable ideas becoming second nature to us over time, I think we will be able to build our best lives by standing on the shoulders of giants, as Sir Isaac Newton would put it. Now, the way I personally read on short form is to pick from my personal library any book that sparks my interest at that moment and start reading it. Typically, I will read sometimes in the morning after waking up, sometimes at night before going to sleep, and many times I will do a short read on the mobile phone app when, for instance, I'm in a restaurant alone waiting for the food or commuting somewhere. I created my personal library by quickly scanning through all the books on short form, and for any book to make it on my library, it has not only to interest me, but it also must fulfill at least one of two conditions. One is that I already know the author of the book from an interview in some podcast or any other source that I personally trust, and the other is that the book itself has been publicly recommended by people who I deeply admire. If you are interested in short form, you can visit my special link shortform.com/pickingnuggets or use the link in the description below to receive unlimited access for 5 days and a 20% discount on the annual subscription if you do choose to keep going after the end of your trial. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the written content in this video, you will love our newsletter, where you can get in your email all the written content plus the latest things that I've been pondering. To subscribe, always for free, find the link below in the description.